Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Virtual World. Thanks for joining. I'm so very happy again to welcome back a very special guest, Richard Orme, who is the CEO and founder of SMEexec.com. So please go and visit that, and hopefully you'll be more enticed to go and visit Richard's website after today's episode. But today, we're delving deeper into the series about the immersive technology world, the metaverse world, Web 3.0, particularly around SMEs, and particularly how leaders should start thinking about the metaverse, start thinking about the use cases for immersive tech in their business. And today we're really focusing on the preparation part of that in this series. Last week, or the last episode, we talked about should they really care about the metaverse or immersive technology or Web 3.0. Now we're talking about the preparation, and then in the next episode, we'll even get deeper into that. So, Rich, welcome back. Thanks, buddy, for joining again. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
now, I know that you and I had a brief chat earlier, and I know you did something this morning that was very brave. What did you do this morning?
I had a bit of a sea swim. Well, swim's an exaggeration, a dip. But it's brilliant. Try and do it as much as I can, eh?
And obviously today being a very cold January day, so well done for you for doing that. I didn't do it, so
Come and join me next time, Nigel.
I will definitely do that. I promise I'll definitely do that. And we live in a great part of the world, so it'll be a mistake if I didn't do it. But let's get into the episode talking about really the preparation for SMEs. But before we do that, can you just give a quick recap in your opinion of what the metaverse is, your opinion about blockchain, Web 3.0, and immersive technology, just so we can start to shape the conversation a bit. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I think it's really important we differentiate the difference between Web 3, which is a commonly used word, and metaverse applications. Web 3 is the umbrella. So under Web 3, you have decentralization, token-based economics, and then under that you also have the metaverse applications, blockchain technology. So Web 3 covers pretty much the whole gambit of the future development of the internet. And if we're focusing just on metaverse, which we are in today's chat, the best way to imagine that is an upgrade to your website, a more immersive experience for your customers, for your team to operate. So instead of looking at a screen and reading copy and looking at pictures to a website, the metaverse platform for your individual business will give a much more immersive experience into the similar subjects that are promoted on a company's website, but it will be an immersive experience. Okay. So that's the main difference. So when people hear Web 3, that encapsulates the whole gambit of the next evolution of the internet. Metaverse is an upgrade to their website. As a simple way of putting it, that's the way we're framing it at this moment in time, and it helps people who are busy running small businesses to get their head around what they need to be thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're in it every single day, and we're getting a lot of the kind of information coming through all the different channels available to us to look at research and use cases and everything else. And I can imagine how confusing it might be for an SME leader, a business professional inside that market sector, just to try and figure out how do I quantify the opportunity.
You're absolutely right, and the customers that we're talking to at the moment about this have exactly the same question. But I take them back to the journey when people didn't have internet sites, and how do I create one? How do I host it? How do I build it? How do I promote it? All of those questions were, pretty unknown. And we're at the same stage with Metaverse. You can, but you can't just go out to a Square or Stripe provider or a website building host and just build a website for in an afternoon. You can do that now. You couldn't do that 10 years ago, and so we're at that stage of Metaverse creation where there's not many specialists out there that can build the right type of metaverse for small business owners. There's one. There's one in Paul that I know of. I can't remember.
I think I might know one. Yeah.
I think.
But you bring up a very interesting point about for the last few episodes across all of my guests, I had to do a bit of reflection on my career. And I was involved in the Web 1.0 way back when, and you mentioned a very good point. There were very few of us who knew how to create a graphical website underpinned by good e-commerce back in the mid-90s. Very few, and the cost was so high to the end customer.
Yeah.
But today we're at the same kind of where do I go moment. And I'm a business leader, I'm a marketing professional, I'm a marketing director, marketing manager, I'm a sales director trying to find new avenues of revenue within the metaverse. But where do I go to get the help? And you're right, there aren't that many. However, the market pace is so quick today that before, back in the 90s, you could take a decade to look at whether the internet or the World Wide Web is going to take off as a revenue stream. You haven't got that today.
No,
you've got to be looking at it today, because 10 years from now, you've missed it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. If you think about back in the day prior to websites being commonplace, there wasn't anything to build from. It was a blank sheet of paper. We where we are now is an evolution of the internet and e-commerce and digital technology. So it's going to happen far quicker. People get it. People understand the need to be incorporating it into their business models. And there's still a question of what is it and how can I do it? And the best way to describe what it is as a metaverse application for small businesses is it's an upgrade to your website, a more immersive platform for you to run your business, manage your team, train your team, build your culture when you have remote workers, to interact with clients, to build lead generation. All of those aspects which you use your website for at the moment can be transitioned over into a metaverse application for that particular company. And the question coming back to me as well is there going to just be one metaverse? Well, actually, no, there's going to be a metaverse application for each individual business like there is a website. There may be interoperability at some point in the future where metaverse applications, worlds, if you like, Meta or Decentraland, there's a few there at the moment where your metaverse platform can interact in that world, and you can take it out of that world and put it in another world, but we don't quite know where that's going. But for people to get their heads around it, imagine your website and there's a link on your standard website which is our metaverse platform. They can click on that and it automatically takes that user directly into your immersive experience, whatever that may be. So that's the access to it which is possible now. And as you say, how to get it, created and built. There's we're at the early stages of where we were with the internet. There's not many good companies out there doing it, but it's important to realise that's going to change very quickly. Probably for big corporates as well.
Yeah, I mean, no one's everyone's. It's an opportunity for everybody. But let's get into the topic of today, which is really giving advice on to business leaders. Again, business leaders, I quantify that as being you're a team leader, you're a manager, you're a department head, you own a business. It doesn't matter really. The word leader is responsibility and accountability for the business. Even I don't mean even as a negative, but particularly in HR, who have a wonderful experience and a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of the metaverse, as you talk about culture and well-being all the time, which is fantastic. But let's get into the practicalities of it all. So, and again, I was thinking about this earlier about the huge opportunity, and I took it down to its a denominator that I thought would be interesting to explore about this particular business, which was a butcher. And I run a butcher's shop locally. Is the metaverse open to me? Does it give me an opportunity? And I thought, well, actually, and then I started thinking, well, actually, if does it open opportunities for the butcher shop? And then I started thinking about the customer journey of that. And then I started, my head went around all the other places around the other different sectors and vertical markets in that place around customer journey, because customer journey is really important to get a hold of when you're talking about immersive technology and the virtual worlds that Metaverse offers. And I thought about going back to the butcher shop and talking about would the Metaverse be open to them? What do you think? I took it down to that kind of level, a localized butcher shop, sustainability. Thought about would anyone who goes to buy products from meat from the butcher shop, what would it be mean to them? What can they do to take advantage of it? It may be a wacky suggestion to have a talk about, but I thought, well, let's explore it.
Yeah, it's probably way down the list of someone's mind to say, well, how would the metaverse help a butcher shop? But let's think this through. Let's go back to the original question: how are small business owners, or how should they prepare for metaverse adoption? I think we should break that down into kind of two categories. First off, looking at areas where it will affect your current business model. That's kind of first topic of conversation. Second, we can consider the future growth strategies of your business. How can you prepare for that? And I think there's two approaches to those two categories. But if you look at a butcher shop, then no doubt they will have a website promoting their services, the journey of where their produce comes from, their sustainability credentials, possibly the history of that company, of why they're great at what they do. So if they were to adopt or build a metaverse platform within their website, that's going to give a much more immersive experience. And that's the key word, is the immersion or customer experience of any business for the customers to follow the journey. So you could build a metaverse world where customers are taken on a journey from farm to butcher, so they can see the whole process. They can interact with the farmer in the virtual immersive world, possibly ask questions.
Talk to the farmer with a headset on. Why not?
Yeah, they could talk to the farmer. They can see where the animals were grazing, how they were fed, how they were transported, how the meat was treated from farm. The logistics. Were the logistics done in a sustainable way? Were the lorries using the right type of fuel, etc. All of this. And then how the meat is prepared in the butcher shop. Why ultimately that meat is better than the butcher's competitors. And it's about that butcher having to promote those reasons to their customers. Otherwise, the customers are simply going to choose the other butcher shop. It's not necessarily all down to price, but it's about there's other factors that affect that. So I think it's a great example, isn't it? You could be outside a butcher shop and there's two next door to each other. One of them's got a QR code on the door that says, visit our metaverse. So you click the QR code, it comes through to your phone. Hopefully by then you will have the hardware technology to immerse yourself, which is coming. Either contact lenses or glasses. You
don't need it, but you can still have an augmented experience on your phone.
You can still have an augmented, but full-on, immersive experience. I think that's what people visualize in their head, but it will get there. So let's imagine we're at that point where people have the hardware to access it, and then they can, they'll have an immersive experience standing outside this butcher shop, for 30 seconds, seeing just where the meat. I suppose, being a meat eater myself, my main concern is where did the meat come from, and the welfare of the animals, and that information can be taken on board in a much more immersive way than either being blind to it or someone having to find that information. Well, you wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't look at the website standing outside the shop, but if you were choosing your butcher in your local area, that from home, you would take the time and follow that journey. And then on that journey, thinking about it, all of the opportunities that SME will have in promoting their brand and business in other areas to generate other revenue, whatever that would be. So there'd be touch points all along. Once you have the potential customer hooked in to your metaverse, People look at website statistics, how long people are reading, the homepage, or where their click rates and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be very similar in the metaverse application that small businesses will have. So the potential for creating new revenue because you've built a stronger trust relationship with the customer because it is immersive is going to be far greater. So to answer your question, I think is a great example. Even a butcher shop, a metaverse application could be really beneficial.
Yeah. Templated as well, obviously, because I think that's great. So we've asked the big question.
Yeah.
Metaverse open to all types and sizes of businesses, no matter where you are. There's an opportunity. But still, the next question is we're going to get into right now is what do they need to do to get there? So take me through that. What do you think they would need to do?
Yeah, okay. Well, let's break this down into two sections. So the first is working out how it's going to affect their current business model. So let's take the current business model. Let's break that down into 4 pillars. So let's look at their revenue, how that's being generated in the current market, their networking, so your sales and marketing, your lead generation, interaction. So let's look at how they're interacting with their existing customers, their own team members, and potential customers as well. I think that's probably the first area where we're going to see immediate change. And then the fourth would be the culture of their own business. The culture is such an important part of any business. Doesn't matter if you're an SME with 5 employees or an SME with 500. How you develop and maintain culture and the well-being of a team is a massive top priority. So I think the first step is for any business leader, decision maker, to look at their own business under those 4 categories of revenue, interaction, culture, and network. And then once they can fully understand how the business is operating in those sections, they can see where they can look at adoption of a metaverse platform to improve through it being a more immersive journey. So let's take an example. Okay, so let's say training their team. Okay, so they can prepare by saying, okay, this is how we train our team. And because of COVID, 50% of our team members are now working remotely. So we find, the interaction of training over Zoom to be okay, but it's not brilliant. So you could investigate for that small business how they could build a training metaverse, specifically just a closed metaverse for their team members, and how they can have a better interaction, a better way of building community for employees that don't necessarily come into the office anymore. So that would be something that's possible to do straight away.
And the hardware, if they want a complete virtual reality experience, the hardware is cheap enough now. So to make it very affordable to buy, a dozen headsets, whatever, to make it become effective. So there's a big move in the market for that. So people might think, oh, the hardware is prohibitive in terms of cost, but actually it's negated, because if you start comparing the budget you have to find for buying some virtual reality headsets, we don't know what the Apple ones are going to be yet, but they're yet to come out, but I'm sure it'll be quite pricey. Yep. But loads of others in the market you could go for, compared to your traditional training methods about sending people to a location, put them in a hotel room and all that kind of expense. It's cheaper going virtual. It's better to be virtual because you can do it quickly and effectively, but having that virtual immersive experience is now very affordable.
Yeah, completely. And the other thing to bear in mind is the sustainable factor of businesses, their carbon footprints. And it's already in place for larger companies, and it will come throughout. Any business will have a requirement to not only just measure what their carbon footprint is, but also have an obligation to reduce it under a certain limit. We're not there yet, but that's exactly where we're heading. So take a company of 20 staff, and they will need to know the impact of their training activities for those staff. And if they can clearly see the benefit of conducting those training probably more regularly, because people don't have to visit a centre at a lower cost, definitely, and probably with more impact, because it's going to be a more fun, informative, immersive experience than sitting in a boardroom somewhere trying to take it all in.
Mate, I was told a story once that someone I know was joining emergency services. I won't say which one. And this is years ago, but the training material was like, I mean, massive A4 folders of information. It was like, right, here you are, you're at the training facility, you're here for a couple of weeks, we're going to take you through your stuff, but then go home and read all this stuff, and you'll be a better person for it. Like, well, forget about it. I mean,
it reminds me. Yeah,
here's your headset. Everything you need on the headset. Take it home and really get yourself and immerse yourself in the immersive experience. I mean, the kind of the performance improvement has got to be significant for a small business owner who can do that. Because they're going to keep that person, they're not going to lose them, so the retention figures are much better. They're going to deliver a better experience to their customers, if it's retail or if it's a food and hospitality business, whatever it might be. It's huge.
Oh, massive. Let's take an example where you have a sales team and they can be selling anything, and the training for that sales consultant is doing role play with a more senior leader in their business, right? So that happens probably not enough in most sales businesses, but if you could create a role play with two avatars, which could be in real time with the senior business leader, or it could be generated through AI in terms of the response to questions. So, the sales consultants could almost do a training session every day before they start what they do, by immersing themselves in a metaverse training platform and being challenged by an avatar or team leader in a role play session. That can be done now. But let's just jump back to the sustainability.
Yeah, sorry, I'm taking a different tangent.
I think the sustainability question is really important, because I genuinely believe the adoption of the metaverse on a mass scale for small businesses, any business, is going to have a really positive impact for reducing carbon footprint for any type of business, for all different areas. So in terms of preparation for any type of business, know that knowing your greenhouse gas emissions is going to be a requirement in the not too distant future, and then you're going to have to explore ways how you still generate the revenue you need to make profit in your business, but do it in a more sustainable way. And the biggest tool you're going to have for that will be a metaverse platform to improve training, but also greatly reduce the carbon footprint of your training activities, or the interaction with clients in a more immersive way. People are really now very familiar to, meeting new leads on Zoom, and that's much more of an acceptable thing than it was obviously 3 years ago. But, look at, all business meetings with potential clients or even customers that require, too many carbon credits to go visit regularly can be done in the metaverse meeting room. And it will become as accepted as a Zoom call very soon. If your customers are having interaction with your competitors through a metaverse meeting room, you have to ask yourself the questions: why aren't you ready to be offering the same type of interaction with your customers?
So just to take it back a little bit, again, sorry for taking down another rabbit hole, but it sounds like what you're saying is that what business leaders, professionals, or decision makers need to do in a small business or medium-sized business is look at the current as-is state of the business, and then overlay that with a new to-be metaverse-enabled operating model, so to speak. But all the different areas of the business where there are opportunities for the metaverse, whether it be sales, marketing, HR, employee engagement, employee welfare, sustainability. Look at all these areas and come up with a set of priorities that will they need to kind of focus on. I know you're very passionate about revenue being one of those because of the opportunity for small business, and I guess because it's so prevalent in their mind today that everyone's going to try and increase revenue while reducing costs, which is standard for everyone a day. But today, in the current economic climate, probably it's really a big focus for everyone as the costs are really soaring up. So it's very difficult to maintain those profit margins. So without increasing the revenue stream. So do you want to kind of, have I hit the nail on the head with that one? Is that what you kind of saying?
Yeah. Your first step in preparing for metaverse adoption is really understand what your current business model is doing now in those pillars of, as I say, revenue, interaction, culture and well-being, and networking. And then look at areas, within those sections where not only you can improve to generate more revenue in the current business model, but where you can improve being more sustainable. Put that as your mission. Don't maybe reframe why should I adopt the metaverse is, okay, we want to be more sustainable. There's no business out there that wouldn't want to be. How do I do that? And actually metaverse adoption will be a major tool in enabling, reduction in greenhouse gases. So, in terms of preparation, look in thorough, and what we're doing with current clients now is just analysing their current, their real life business under those sections, especially over revenue, because obviously small businesses revenue is critical. What makes up revenue and how can they have an impact on that? In demand, competition, and reasons why. Demand is something you can't control, but the other two definitely within the control of business leaders, and all the different aspects that make up the reasons why your customers choose you over your competition. And in that process, you'll identify quite easily areas where they could be improved through more immersive experiences for your customers. And the side effect, or the knock-on effect, which actually in my view should be the lead effect, it will bring more sustainable business ethos to the company. So first step is look at your existing structures and how you tackle those 4 areas. And then once you have come to a decision on what you're ready to integrate now or adopt, is then looking at the long-term growth strategy for your SME. If now, okay, be aware of what metaverse adoption means, what your competitors are doing, what your customers are looking for in their journey that come from knowing the brand to actually being a paid customer. But absolutely making sure that your 3 to 5 year growth strategy is inclusive of this new technology. And we're talking specifically around metaverse platforms, but in that strategy review, and what we're doing at the moment is looking at all Web3 evolutions of the internet in terms of what does decentralization mean to a business owner? What does digital ownership or NFTs mean to a business? And obviously every business is slightly different how they generate revenue. But if you're not even thinking about what the picture looks like in 3 to 5 year plan, that could be a real issue for you in 3 to 5 years' time. You'll be playing catch up, and now's the time. As you said at the very beginning, before the internet, no one really knew how powerful it's going to be. We know how powerful this is going to be. So you're going to have to. Yeah.
So as we try and wrap this up, I mean, I was just writing some notes. I want to put into the banner here on the podcast here. Actually, I took a step back from what you just said. So I think the first thing that you were saying to everyone is, number one, get the metaverse into your strategy. And, whether you're thinking that is sustainability is your strategy, then whatever it might be, but get it into your strategy. Start thinking about it.
Absolutely.
That's really, really important. And then I'm going to wrap up with the third point where I think it's really critical. But the second thing, from what I heard you say, is then do your operating model definition. So once you know it's in your strategy, you're going to know what your outcomes need to be from it, whether it's a large scale or small scale. You're starting off with a proof of concept, you're starting off with a certain department, or you might just understand that actually your strategy is to improve your training and development, tools and techniques, because you want to improve your employee retention numbers or whatever it might be, or you might want to choose, hey, I want to improve my customer service because I'm in a high competitive situation, and therefore I want to improve my revenue streams from that. But whatever it might be, get into that, and then understand your operating model, which is the second key thing, and look at your current ways of working. Then overlay that your to-be metaverse operating model. Once you've obviously defined your strategy, I think from summarizing what you said, I think these are the key things that I pulled out from it. And I think the third thing that I pulled out from all of this, and it's been an undercurrent theme that we've spoken about. In fact, it's been an undercurrent theme of all of my guests recently, is where do I go to get that help? Because it's great, Nigel, you said to me, go build my strategy. Fantastic.
Sure.
I've understood how to change my operating model. Brilliant. Now what? Where do I go? So,
yes.
I know you're really, you created a fantastic business called SME Exec. How can they get help from you?
Well, I think how you summarize it, Nigel, is a great recap. In terms of preparing for the metaverse as a business leader, you need to be looking at your operating model as it is now, and that's where we're helping our current clients and where we can help more people, and identifying within their current operating model, the easy wins where new technology, metaverse adoption can have a real beneficial impact. I see it all the time with our clients. Running a small business, whether that's 5 employees or even 50 plus, there's 100 things to do for founders, for business leaders, but they in their strategy discussions for growth and planning ahead, there needs to be an element of metaverse adoption, and if they tied that in with their sustainability drive as well, and we're seeing that as well, and we'll work with customers who want to carry on doing what they do, but they want to do it in a much more sustainable way. And the conversation I'm having with these business leaders does come down to more immersive technology, reducing their carbon footprint. So in a nutshell, get help, look at your current business operating model, evaluate that, and work out your long-term strategy, and then areas within your current operating model of which you can afford to do and want to do to create your business in a more sustainable way, in a more immersive way.
My dog. This is Mimi, my dog. Hey, Mimi, are you the Metaverse yet, Mimi?
Name?
Right?
Who's the dog?
That's Mimi.
Hello, Mimi.
Metaverse Mimi.
Oh, there we go. She came at the right time. Okay, we've got to wrap up. So yeah, get help and just have that conversation, whether it's with me or somebody else who specializes in Web3 metaverse advisory. And the conversation needs to start around understanding your current business operating model. And then when you fully understand that, you can then clearly identify areas which are going to be affected by metaverse adoption once you can grasp what it is. And it's the what it is that we're still, working with people to get understanding of. Yeah. So once they once they get to that stage, they'll be like, okay, so let's do it. What do we do next? And that's when it comes down to appointing the right technical team to create the right type of platform for one particular area where they can see the most improvements. Yeah. Maybe that's the immersion of customer meetings or training for your team or building better culture for your.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm worried about saying the next piece because this could take us on for the conversation for the next 5 hours. But I want to put one thought into people's minds around the operating model piece again, because what the metaverse does, the industrial metaverse, immersive technology, it opens up the ability to really maximize the digital twin world, the digital twin technology. So, which could take away a lot of the non-value added tasks that a lot of humans are doing, which now can be done through a digital twin. So that's another thing that I know you're helping a lot of your customers think through about looking at all of my tasks that my members of my teams are doing, and if I could just get a piece of technology to take away 30% of the stuff is non-value adding to the human, then that will be significant fiscal benefit to my business.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because that will take us hours to get through.
Yeah, digital twins is a whole new series, and it's fascinating how that is evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
The key thing is really understand your current business operating model and looking at the areas where you can get immediate improvement by adopting better technology, more immersive technology, and then making sure that that's factored into your growth strategy in terms of how you generate revenue, which is obviously the key concern for any business.
Well, Rich, as always, thank you so much for your insights, your experience, your advice, your thoughts. And obviously, I also very much appreciate the fact that in your business you're staying on top of what's happening in the market. Being a business leader myself, I need somewhere to go to get the help and insight about how it applies to my business. Because one of the things, again, another undercurrent or a common theme that all of my podcasts seem to be having in each of the episodes is, who do I listen to? Who's that individual? Who's that company that's going into the market to sort out the good from the bad, the honest from the dishonest, all that kind of stuff. So thank you for really being on top of the market for everyone. So again, we appreciate your time today. I'm really looking forward to the next episode as we get even deeper into the more practicalities of it. So right now, what you've helped us cover off for the SME leaders is, should they care?
Yeah.
Once they've understood that, yes, they should be, now we go into that kind of practicalities about.
I think we need to touch on the how.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people get it, I think that'd be exciting. Maybe bring your trunks next time, Nigel. We can do it on the beach. How does that sound?
Why not? Well, that will be a scary thought. Everyone seeing me in my baby shorts. But who knows? That'd be a great podcast series to do. Although it's bloody cold right now, so I'm not doing it now. Maybe once in spring.
You're Scottish. You should be used to this.
I know. All right.
Anyway.
Rick, thank you again, buddy. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.
Okay, see you again.
Cheers, bye.
Bye-bye.